to the show. This is The Force Always. My name is Diz, aka David Zamet. Let's get on with the show with the news, the views, the reviews, and interviews. A bit of news this time around. So we've had Maul Shadow Lord, a second main trailer just dropped. It's only 3 weeks out to the start of the series on Disney Plus. So Maul Shadow Lord, a second trailer has dropped, probably as comprehensive as the one we got around, I think a month ago or so, maybe just a bit more. This one is going to be reviewed in my review section later in the show. To more news, Gina Carano, who played a rebellion fighter in the Mandalorian, was last seen in the final episode where Luke Skywalker presented himself in the Mandalorian Season 2, has had an interview in the last week or so online. So it opens up about just, her life as she is now, and a little bit about the, departure from Disney. Check it out. Just look for Gina Carano fighting Disney. She definitely is very, self-aware and assertive and sort of chilled as well. It's a pretty good interview. Check that online. That's YouTube online somewhere. Gina Carano fighting Disney on the lines of that type of thing. So check that one out. To more news. So this week is the release of Project Hail Mary, the official release, which I have done a review. If you want to check out the review, it is on the last episode of The Force Always. Just watch out for the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer, the last particular trailer that is known. It really does look good on the big screen. My excitement for this film has really amped up since that particular trailer. So before that, it's been okay to moderate, but this one has really amped it up. So that's only a couple of months away. And to more news, which I should say, the Maul Shadow Lord series starts April 6th. April 6th on Disney Plus. That is some more news there. So April 6th on Disney Plus, Maul Shadow Lord. Let's now get into views. Views is my story idea where I tell you what I would like to see in Star Wars, but I accept the story for what it is. Wherever the story is now or been or going, that's Star Wars. That's how it is. It's not I'm being spoon-fed. It's more that I accept the story as it is. Yes, we could change a story here and there of any particular story in the movie realm or even books or whatever. But you know what? That's the story. But anyway, this particular views of my story idea is going to be about Maul Shadow Lord. Now, in my opinion, and also my story idea, this is going to be pretty much where Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett, the actual live action TV series, I think this is their comeback. That's Disney's comeback to where they should have taken Boba Fett to, in a sort of similar sort of underworld, criminal, very evil type of look and feel and story. I think that's what they're going to do, and I am really expecting it to be just full on, Sith Lord activity, deception, criminal activity, sort of more like The Sopranos meets Star Wars, if you were to think of it that way. Or in my opinion, my closer opinion, I love the movie Heat with De Niro and Al Pacino. I'd love that sort of feel to Star Wars in this. So a bit more action about it, though. I mean, Heat is a bit of a slow burn, but it's definitely a great film. I just think my story idea is to have it continuously about action and about being in the criminal world, and get sort of some tie-ups about Even we had a character named Kira that was in Solo, a Star Wars story. I'd like to see if that ever comes up. That would be interesting. But yeah, I think. But I also do think this is Disney sort of recapturing the vibe of that criminal underworld feel that they should have got in Boba Fett. But again, I accept the story for what it is. And anyway, that's my story idea. Let's get into reviews. Reviews is two things this week, actually. The first one will be about a fan film that dropped a number of days ago. I cannot remember the actual YouTube channel, but if you look up Princess Leia or Leia and Luke after Return of the Jedi. If you look that up on YouTube, there's a great fan film. Look, the AI is stock standard at the moment. You know, that's not to be questioned in the level of what the AI is doing. It's, you know, sort of delivering almost 100% quality in sound and visuals. Obviously, if you're going to get a microscope, you can really pick up the little intricacies. But the actual editing and the actual story of this particular film was actually how Princess Leia or General Leia at this stage was. I think at General Leia she was at this stage in Return of the Jedi. It was this is the story that happens after after Return of the Jedi. It's how Leia is dealing with her now known dad as Anakin Skywalker, who was Darth Vader, who had killed so many people, especially on her home planet, Alderaan, and even her known stepdad now, is dealing with that, and the sort of psychological sort of way that Luke is sort of confronting Leia in this particular story. Really well done. Just the editing, the look, the closeness to the reality of Return of the Jedi. You get all the right feels. This one is I'm going to give it 11 out of 10. Just 11 out of 10. These AI fan films, especially the way they're being told, the actual story, the psychological part, not so much the AI. AI just comes hand in hand at the moment, but it's really, really good. 11 out of 10. Check it out. Just look up something with Leia and Luke after Return of the Jedi, dealing with Darth Vader or something like that, and you'll find this fan film. It's absolutely, it's mind-blowing. It is slow and it is psychological, but that's the feel of the actual fan film. 11 out of 10 for me. Now, let's get into the next review, which is Maul Shadow Lord, the second main trailer, the trailer that's coming, to us about 3 weeks out to the actual show begins. I don't know how many episodes there are. There could be 6 to 8 episodes of this Shadow Lord Maul by Maul. I don't know, but this particular trailer, I actually prefer the actual trailer just before this one, the one that came out about a month or so ago. I thought the emotional, the build-up, the music sort of gelled a bit better. This particular trailer does amp the horror and the action and the sort of more explaining of what's really going to happen in this particular storyline. The storyline is set around Attack of the Clones Episode 2-ish era. So this is where, Maul has been rejected by the Palpatine, as we know it at this stage. Or this could be in the Revenge of the Sith era, where he's now become the Emperor, that is Palpatine. It's roughly in that timeline of Star Wars. It really, the actual trailer is showing really exciting action and darkness. I'm sure from the amount of images we've got from this, it's going to be like that. But straight off the bat, a little bit later, straight off the bat, for this particular trailer, I'm going to give it a 8.5 out of 10. I was not so greatly wowed with it, because I think we got really wowed by the last trailer, the one that before this one. But definitely, I'm highly looking forward to this. I think it will bring, the wars in Star Wars back to Star Wars, and really sinister plots and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to that. April 6th on Disney Plus. Anyway, that is my review. Let's get into interviews. Interviews is usually the questions that I get on my comment section. Now, because my last video was a review to a particular film, I'm taking all the questions either from that or the last one. So the last one was around 5-6 days ago, and so our favorite, commenter, if that's a word, Michael from Wherever South, has sent in a whole lot of, let's call it Google questions. I believe he's rocking Google. So let's just pay him back with a bit of Google back. And also a little bit of knowledge as well. Anyway, so the first question is, Yoda's iconic look was created by makeup artist Stuart Freeborn, who modelled the character facial features after his own reflection. Which historical figures' eyes were specifically chosen to inspire Yoda's gaze and upper lip? Well, this here is not a Google question for me. This is Albert Einstein. So George Lucas, who was behind Yoda, obviously, wanted that sort of, very intellectual genius quality to this character. And not just did, the artist Stuart Freeborn base it on his face, he sort of then gave it a very Albert Einstein look. And that's where Yoda's look comes from. The next question, how did Yoda's daily struggle with the cave's visions, Wikipedia, eventually lead him to the impish personality Luke's first encounters? It's a very unusual question. How did Yoda's daily struggle with the cave's visions, Wikipedia, eventually lead him to the impish personality Luke's first encounters? Now, I know the answer to this question, but I'm just going to confirm with Google to see what this could be. And so really what really the answer to this question is, it was to test the daily struggle with the dark side. See, Dagobah, where Yoda was in the planet, and Luke came to train there, it was heavily influenced by the dark side. There was a very dark side presence there, which was partly why Yoda went there in the first place, to sort of hide and be clouded. He learned to cloud, as Palpatine did in a reversed way, but he learned to cloud his whereabouts was. Obviously, he would be hunted, but to go to a planet is full of dark side. Who would have thought a good person would have gone there? Well, Yoda did, to hide, and a very good way to exile, to be honest. Very, very genius idea. Anyway, so let's get into the next question. Yoda famously returns as a Force ghost in the original sequel trilogies. Who was the teacher that originally instructed Yoda on how to retain his conscience after death? Well, that's another non-Google for me. That's Qui-Gon Jinn. Qui-Gon Jinn was in the first episode 1, Phantom Menace. He was the master, technically, of Obi-Wan Kenobi. He died to the hands of Maul, and he sort of learned how to, communicate from the ghostly world of the Jedi, and then sort of taught many people, many Jedi, to know how to do this from that side. Anyway, so the next question, Yoda was a master of all 7 forms of lightsaber combat, but which specific form did he prefer for his own highly acrobatic fighting style? Well, really, the name of this particular style, which is not really needed to be known. But if you want to put a known uh, known uh, name to this style, it is in Google, because I didn't know this, is Artaru. It's called Artaru. But really, all you need to know with the answer to this question is that Yoda just had an intense acrobatic style. And I would say it's due to the size of character in reality of Star Wars. Reality of Star Wars. Be careful about that. There is a reality in Star Wars, and there's a reality here on Earth. But reality in Star Wars that he was small in stature, so Yoda had to really sort of amp it up, and he chose an acrobatic style, and it is apparently called Artaru, thanks to Google. Anyway, so let's get into the next question. So, the exile choice, why specifically did Yoda choose Dagobah? Was it just a hide, or was it he guarding something specific on the planet? No, well, I just sort of answered that question before in another question. He actually went there because Dagobah was a very dark-sided sort of feel of a planet. He went there to hide, and so use the dark side to hide him from any particular dark-siders like Darth Vader or the Emperor or any other entity out there. And it was a very good idea. Good story idea there, and good idea for Yoda. So then, the next question for Michael from Wherever South is, according to rumors and legends, lore, who was a Jedi Master that originally trained Yoda when he was a youngling? Well, there's actually no... Legends lore is not canon. Now, Legends lore, or EU, is really a whole lot of stories that repeat themselves or have, different versions of. So really to refer to that as who actually taught him is not really how you would answer the question. That is versions of, and I say versions of. So there's many versions of how many things happen in the galaxy, and who actually taught Yoda? Well, we actually don't know. I'm wishing to God, if there is a God, wherever God is, when I pass away, I'll somehow let you guys know which God it is. But anyway, and I'm just for the record, I am a believer of the partial existence of God. But anyway, let's get on to Star Wars again. So in The Mandalorian Grogu, hopefully we do get to explore this, where Grogu and Yoda and Yaddle, where their species came from, and just a bit more about them. It would be a great entry point. I'm looking forward to possibly seeing that in the actual movie, which would create a great buzz, and not just that, but just a great big world of interesting, a brand new world almost. To learn, because there's a lot to learn about. He's the pinnacle. If there's anything to go back on or to discover about a character, which I'm not a big fan of going back and just exploring more about the characters, I'd rather see the movies go forward or the story move forward. But that definitely would be an interesting thing. Anyway, so there's no official teacher to Yoda. There is just versions of. Anyway, according to rumors and legends, we've done that way. Why did Yoda's species choose to remain a legend even during the height of the Jedi's power? Well, again, this is we don't know we don't know if it's a Yoda species, and we don't know much about the species, and we don't know if all the species are, comes with the Force in a strong way. We don't know. There could be just versions of even there. There could be people, the species of Yoda or Yaddle or Grogu, that could have no Force abilities. But we don't know. This is a big area of Star Wars that is unexplored, and it would be a great entry point, especially coming in The Mandalorian and Grogu. That's my story idea as well as answer to the question. Now, the final question from Michael from Werribee South is, Force connection. Are all members of the species force sensitive? Or are characters like Yoda and Yaddle just outliers? I would maybe think that last word would be outsiders or insiders or whatever. Again, I just sort of pretty much answer that question. We don't know if all members of the species that came from Yoda, Grogu, and Yaddle are force sensitive. We can only get to discover this. If it doesn't come in the Mandalorian and Grogu, I'm sure it's going to come down the line sometime, somewhere. There's only versions of in the EU and Legends, which I do take seriously. I do like this stuff, but it's more sort of a what ifs. It's just a what if. For me, the official story is the official story. Whoever owns it or whatever happens with it, if the story continues from that point onwards, moving forward, I'm all for it. But anyway, that is the answer to the question. We don't know if all members are affected with the Force. Anyway, so that is the show for this time around. Please subscribe to the channel, The Force Always. I'm here 3 or 4 times a week with the news, the views, the reviews, and interviews of all sorts. And if you want to like and share the video, that's great. Send me in a comment or question or trivia or something I can search on Google, for the love of Michael. Anyway, until next time, my friends, keep rocking.